Hello to everybody, welcome to our channel. We're going to give you a list of 10 renowned criminals today, some of whom you might not even be aware existed. Any of them could be peacefully residing as your quiet neighbor, the unsettling man who regularly visits the dog park, or even the stalker at your neighborhood grocery shop. Keep an eye out for the following offenders as they have never been apprehended. The Ben Stahl painting thieves. Ben Stahl is a visual artist who was born in Chicago in 1910. He developed his abilities as a young man by producing stunning pictures for books and publications. The Catholic press hired Stahl at the height of his fame to paint the Stations of the Cross for a limited edition Bible. Stahl made 14 little paintings, but they were highly appreciated, so he decided to make larger versions of them. He worked on these for 2 years before opening the Museum of the Cross in November 1966 to allow the world to view his creations. The paintings have been compared to a nearly mythical experience. Then, shortly after Easter in 1969, robbers broke into the museum. There was no alarm system or security in place. The thieves were very careful as they stole. They gently removed each staple instead of ripping the canvases apart, then rolled the artwork into a ball and fled. No one ever saw the paintings again. Ben Stahl passed away in 1987, never learning what became of his paintings. His children are still eligible for the ongoing prize that is being given for the safe recovery of the artwork, despite the theft statute of limitations has passed. Roberto Solis. In Las Vegas, Nevada, Heather Tallchief, age 21, operated an armored vehicle. She disappeared on Friday, October 1st, 1993, after refilling the ATMs of several nearby casinos. She'd filled her armored car with more than $3 million because the weekend was expected to be hectic. After letting her co-workers off at a casino side entrance, Heather just drove away, according to a review of the CCTV tape. She disappeared with the money. It seems that Heather's entire position was a farce. 2 months before, she applied for the job and accepted it as part of a larger criminal scheme. Police investigated Heather's apartment for signs of why she may have done such a thing, despite the fact that she had no criminal history. In addition to Heather's fingerprints, Roberto Solis' fingerprints, who was convicted of murder and theft, were also discovered. The result of the inquiry showed that Heather had met Solis. They'd gotten together, and they had planned the ideal crime together. In order to avoid suspicion every time, Heather arrived in the stolen car. Solis had even started a company that converts automobiles into armored cars. Heather and Solis got on their specially chartered flight to Colorado 2 hours after Heather vanished, going undercover. The pair had hidden their footprints in Colorado, and the trace became untraceable. In the end, Heather gave in 2005 after leaving Solis after finding out she was expecting his child. She asserted that Solis had indoctrinated her and that she wanted her son to live a normal life. Roberto Solis is still at large, despite Heather having served 63 months in prison. The Brinks Heist. Brinks armored truck drivers in Eden Prairie, Minnesota, came across a group of organized robbers on April 19, 1989, about 1 p.m. One of the robbers swiftly overcame a security guard. Another group stopped the armored truck's exit, and a fourth thief attached a bomb to the truck's hood. The criminals took roughly $1 million in cash in less than 60 seconds, before disappearing completely. The fake bomb was connected to a real one that had been used in a heist 3 years earlier. The same gang of robbers fled the scene of the crime with more than $600,000. However, the same gang engaged in combat with another Brinks armored vehicle crew a year later, only 10 miles from the earlier robbery. While another team overcame the guard loading the cash onto the truck, they blocked it in with a van. The criminals shot many times, but more to frighten the guards than to actually hurt them. The robbers quickly left as a getaway car arrived and took off with a large sum of money. Given the number of witnesses in the streets, it was a miracle that no one was hurt. All of their abandoned automobiles are promptly discovered by the FBI, but they're always empty of any proof. The robbers simply disappeared after their final robbery, and as far as law enforcement is aware, they haven't been seen or heard from since. They might be anywhere right now, living a life of luxury with all that money. Lord Lucan. Known for his backgammon prowess, love of vodka martinis, powerboats, and Aston Martin automobiles, Lord Lucan was a charismatic British aristocrat and army officer. Richard Bingham, the 7th Earl of Lucan, was a British nobleman whose lively life took a terrible turn in November 1974. His legal name was Richard Bingham. After his children's babysitter, Sandra Rivet, was killed, he strangely disappeared at that time. Rivet's body was discovered in the basement of his family's residence in London's posh Belgravia neighbourhood. The hunt for Lord Lucan started when his ex-wife, Countess Veronica Duncan, shouted, "He's in the house, he's in the house," while running into a nearby pub and suffering from head wounds. "He has killed the nanny." Police discovered Rivet inside the home, having been strangled with a lead pipe and put in a canvas mailbag. It was unclear why Lord Lucan would have killed her, but some have theorized that he might have thought she was his wife. He and his wife, who had filed for divorce in 1972, were embroiled in a contentious custody dispute involving their 3 children. Near London, an abandoned bloody automobile that Lord Lucan had borrowed from a friend was discovered. There are many theories about Lord Lucan's location, and some people even think he committed suicide. He was pronounced dead by a British judge in 1999, and a formal death certificate was granted in 2014. Some think that there's still a chance, however remote, that Lord Lucan is still alive and hiding. The Anglin Brothers and Frank Morris. John Anglin, Clarence Anglin, and Frank Morris were technically captured, but they are included on this list because they suddenly disappeared and were never seen again. They were the only men to ever escape from San Francisco's famous unescapable island jail, Alcatraz, despite the fact that you might not know their names. After years of planning, the 3 guys finally carried off their escape on June 11, 1962. They entered the dark waters of San Francisco Bay, using a makeshift escape raft made of stolen raincoats and some improvised paddles. Others think they've reached freedom. After a prolonged manhunt, neither their bodies nor their tracks were ever discovered. Aribert Heim. Aribert Heim, an Austrian doctor who served as a Waffen-SS officer for Nazi Germany during World War II, was also known as Dr. Death. At the Mauthausen concentration camp, he was given the position of camp doctor. He performed horrifying medical experiments on Jews there. Heim was taken prisoner by American soldiers in 1945 as the war came to a conclusion, but he was ultimately freed. He remained in Germany and practiced gynecology there for many years. After finding that the authorities were after him in 1962, he later vanished. He's still one of the few significant Nazi war criminals who are still pursued. Heinrich Muller. During World War II, Muller oversaw the Nazi Gestapo's covert operations. One of the most significant Nazis who was never prosecuted, or whose demise was never formally acknowledged, was Muller. Muller was a senior commander who served as a trusted counselor to Heinrich Himmler and Adolf Eichmann. He was present at the 1C conference in 1942, where the final solution was formally adopted, and he was actively involved in the planning and execution of the Holocaust. The horrific torture methods used by the secret police while they were under his direction were legendary. Heinrich Muller was referred to as Gestapo Muller because there was already another Heinrich Muller. Muller was assigned to the investigation following the 1942 murder of Reinhard Heydrich, the founder of the Gestapo. He identified the Czech commandos through bribery and torture. They later committed suicide rather than be arrested. He oversaw the inquiry into Adolf Hitler's attempted murder in 1944 as well. More than 5,000 people were arrested, and 200 were put to death as a result of his inquiry. Hitler committed suicide on April 28, 1945, the day Muller was last seen. Muller then left after making it apparent that the Russians would not be holding him as a prisoner. Cold War factors caused interest in Muller's capture to decline in 1947, but it was reignited years later when rumors surfaced that he'd been spotted in Soviet interrogation facilities. Other claims claimed that he had been seen in Panama. Adolf Eichmann declared he genuinely thought Muller was still alive when he was apprehended in 1960. Sightings ceased in the late 1960s, and no one has ever learned the real Muller's whereabouts. Mateo Messina de Niro. Over many years, Mateo Messina de Niro, better known as Diabolic, demonstrated his abilities as a master organizer and criminal boss, possibly the most renowned in the entire world. The last of Sicily's renowned leaders, De Niro fled after being linked to the 1993 bombings in Italy that were intended to stall government action against the mafia. He has evaded capture for more than 20 years. Niro, who considers himself to be somewhat of a folk hero, has continued to live a life of luxury while still being sought for more than 50 murders and on the run. The Italian government is working to stop Niro's access to money in the hopes that he will finally be caught. Niro keeps a fierce bodyguard force, avoids using his cell phone or computer more than once, and only hangs out with those who support him. Niro has nurtured neighborhood businesses, ensuring they keep his location a secret, rather than requesting protection money from them. The Pink Panthers. A very successful group of Serbian gem thieves is known as the Pink Panthers. They are responsible for some of the most famous armed robberies in history according to Interpol. They took a £500,000 diamond from a London jeweler in 1993, which is the first theft we are aware of them committing. The Pink Panthers have since made money off over 120 store robberies in 20 different nations. Their success rate may be attributed to their attention to detail, which is well known. The group is also renowned for its daring escapes and inventive entrances. D.B. Cooper. A passenger traveling under the name Dan Cooper boarded Northwest Orient Airlines flight number 305 on November 24, 1971, in Portland, Oregon, for Seattle, Washington. He started the most well-known hijacking in aviation history by showing a flight attendant a bomb in his briefcase while wearing a black suit and tie. 4 parachutes, $200,000 and crew food were all on his demand list. He let all the passengers and 1 flight attendant go after the jet touched down in Seattle. He lowered the plane's aft stairs after tying the bank bag filled with cash to himself. Then, during a severe storm, Cooper jumped off the aircraft and vanished without a trace. He was incorrectly given the name D.B. Cooper by the media and it stayed. That's all for today. Thank you for watching the video.